Right, fantastic. All right, I'll swap with you if you watch the reading room. Hello,
Oh,
everyone. It's so nice to see so many new faces. And it is my absolute pleasure to introduce my longtime friend. I won't say how long because that brings up numbers I don't love, but a longtime friend, Jenny Galuso, who is the co-founder of The Second Shift. And Jenny is fully committed to empowering women through work, which we love. Jenny is head of community at The Second Shift, where she curates events across the country, bringing members and business partners together. She also serves as The Second Shift head of brand, setting the strategy for messaging, communications, and content. Jenny's got her arms in everything. She recently launched Let's Be Human, Parenthood at Work, which is a wonderful best practices guide to family leave for companies, and also a career coaching platform within The Second Shift. Clearly, I can think of no one better suited than Jenny to talk about career transitions. Prior to starting The Second Shift, Jenny spent many years in the journalism field, researching, writing, hosting, and producing for Good Morning America, News 12, and Plum TV. And a fun fact, which I love to share in our all before dinner meetings, I have known Jenny for almost 40 years. There, I said it. And Jenny is the one who introduced Lisa and I. So without Jenny, there would be no all before dinner. There would be no meeting with you all right now. So we love to bring everyone together and share that information. And I will share Jenny's information in the chat. And with that, I will turn it over to Jenny to share her wisdom.
thank you so much. Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Lisa. This is so fun. It's so fun for me to be here and to share this program that I've been working on for the better part of a year. This is one of those things where similar to all before dinner, when you guys like had this idea and you decide you're going to like put something out into the world and then it happens and then you have to actually do the thing that you're going to do. And so I had this idea. I really wanted to do a career transition program through The Second Shift. And I knew no better group to work it through with. First, this is the first time I am doing this with the women at All Before Dinner, and there's a lot of women who came through The Second Shift to be here today. So I really appreciate everyone being here. I'm saying it's the first time because it might be a little bit rusty, but we're gonna do this because I really believe in it. I've spent the past 10 plus years working at The Second Shift, which is a platform that provides community, career development, and job opportunities for women in their mid-career. And in part of that role, I have listened to the stories and the career issues that have personal and career issues that come up for women in our demographic. And I've been able to help them through career coaching, providing them jobs, all the things I mentioned. And and in that, there's been a lot of commonality in the stories and in how I advise people to move themselves and their dreams forward. So pulling that together and making it into a comprehensive program was something I always thought of, and I just seemed like a lot to do. And so I just didn't do it because you can talk yourself out of doing anything. So I talked myself out of it for a really long time until I decided, okay, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be on March 19th with All Before Dinner. And so here we are. And I've also read, just so you know, every single book that has to do with career changing, career, manifesting your dream career, anything that has to do atomic habits, this thing, that thing, and pulled together that in combination to make my own version of what I think are like the best practices from my own experience, from what I've seen work for the women that I've interacted with. And then it's like a synthesized version of all of that and making it into a blueprint on how you shift your career forward in your mid-career, and you unstick, you go deep, and then you move forward. So this is going to be, I'm going to walk through a small version of the program. It's built to be a month-long program, 4 sections. The first section is the vision. The second section is the passion. The third section is about your fears and becoming ruthless about facing your fears. And then the fourth section is about moving forward. So we'll go through each of those. I really want to leave time at the end for questions. And then I can also send this on. This is also something I do in different one-on-one ways, or, I can send you the whole built out program as well. So this is like a taste of it. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to move forward. Here we go. Look, Mara, I did it. We practiced this a lot because I just wanted to make sure I knew how to do this properly. Okay, so again, a lot of this is about, I'm like relentlessly positive and optimistic. And so a lot of it is about reframing thoughts, reprogramming fears, figuring out what it is that you really want, why you want it, and why you're talking yourself out of it, and then figuring out how to move ahead. So to start with, it's about vision. What's the vision? And in this section, it's like, go really big. Like, not like your tiny little vision of what you want to do next week. This is like, if I could be, go dream the biggest that you could dream. Remember what it's like to feel super passionate about something. And this doesn't mean that you have to leave your job. This doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you want to start something, do something, that it can be the same job. I've done this job for 10 years. I've had to put myself through this program over time because it doesn't always feel so exciting to do the same job. It can feel really meh. And so how do you get back the vision? How do you find the thing that's going to ignite your enthusiasm, or come up with a new strategy to do something a little bit different if you feel like you've hit a wall professionally, how to move past that wall? So it's like, when you get burned out, how do you dream so big and then figure out what it is that you really want and why? So when you're going through this, each section is divided into like these the quick things I want you to do, 4 quick steps. I mean, they're not really quick. You'll see as we go on, figuring out what are the things that you want. And then the next section is like a bigger, more mindful step where it's more of a habit and a practice that you're going to integrate into your life. And so if this is the first week, here's some activities that I want you to do over the week, things I want you to think about and really spend the time to dive deep into who you are in this time of your life, not who you were when you first started out in your career. Right now, what are the things that you want? What's reasonable? What's feasible? What makes you feel like, what hits you in your heart and makes you want to dream big? And then here's the step. So again, each section has an empowering action step. This I have found to be one of the best things that I have incorporated into my life. So you have to stop believing your thoughts. You have to know that your thoughts are the program that's running in the front of your brain. And it's every fear you have, everything that you've ever been told, every experience that you've had. When you wake up in the morning and it's your to-do list and it's your anxieties, and finding a way to shut that down so that you can figure out what it is that you really want. And I found this activity to be incredibly helpful. So when you wake up in the morning, you're going to get a journal and you're going to write for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever time you have. Set it aside, wake up early if you have to. I wake up early. And it's like a brain dump. It's like you're taking everything that starts off running in your head and you're going to just like word vomit it onto the page and get it out. And what you're going to find, and it could be like, I'll be sitting here writing and I'll be like, oh, buy pens. Here's my to-do list for the day. Oh, here's everything that I'm thinking, whatever it is, just throw it on there, write for 5 or 10 minutes, free form, just whatever comes into your brain. whatever it is that you're thinking about. And what I will say is at the end of the month of you doing this every day, you're going to go back and you're going to look and you're going to see patterns about what you think about and what you worry about and what you write about. And it may not be what you think it is. You could be thinking about your kid more than you're thinking about your job. Whatever it is, it's really interesting to approach this with like a sense of curiosity, where you're curious about what your brain does and where you think and what fears you have and what you worry about. So every morning doing this and then going back in and reading it after the end of the week or at the end of the month and seeing, oh, like that's what I'm thinking about. And what I will say is you'll find that the rest of the day, all of those thoughts are kind of out. Like I said, it cleans your mind. So that activity, all of a sudden, all of those things that are running in your brain, they're kind of like out on the page. And then I've found that it gives space for your brain to be a little quieter the rest of the day, because it's not just these thoughts jumbled around with nowhere to go. It gives them a place to go so you can open up space to think about other things. Okay, section 2 or week 2, however you want to divide it up. This is like passion. This is like finding out remembering who you were before you became you, before you became scared and busy and a mom and an adult and a worker and afraid and self-conscious. It's who you really are and what you really like to do, what inspires you. And a lot of times it's very hard to do this about yourself, to figure out who you are, especially when you're so many different things, right? You're a mom or you're a wife or a partner, you're a worker, you're a boss. So recognizing, that's why I asked to think about positive feedback you've received from other people, or ways in which you felt really strong and you felt really good and confident. When did that happen? And I did this with friends where I sent a list to some people and I said, give me 3 adjectives that you think describe me, like from a random assortment of people. And it was really interesting to see what those adjectives were, because it wasn't always what I thought. And so it like gives you a confidence boost or shows you something about yourself that's really interesting. I love looking at people whose careers and lives inspire you, because it's like, what is it about those people? What is it about their career? Is it like the power they have, the access they have? Is it the passion they have in their job? What do you like about it? And what is it about? Do you feel like you're matching up to that? Do you feel like there's an opportunity for you to move into that direction? Or do you feel like you are maybe holding back and not living your own personal truth in the way that you should be? And in this, we all know we're very, very, very busy. We all know that it's really hard to take the time and put the effort in to feel a spark, to feel excited about something, because our to-do lists are enormous, and it's like your priority is the lowest on that to-do list at all times. I feel like it's incredibly important to be able to quiet the thoughts that are running in your head at all times and to find what is behind that, right? So that's the you. When you take away all of the, like they said, the to-do list, the fears, the doubts, the gotta do this, should do this, need to do that, camp check-ins, did I buy that? That's all busyness that's creating like a cloud between you and who you really are and what you really want. And finding ways to shut your brain down and to shut all that stuff that's running is really, really important, especially at the beginning of this process. Some people have mindful practices. Some people are really good at meditating, right? That's what this does. Meditating shuts down the thoughts and all of that are running in your brain and gets you to a place where like you're just living in your subconscious. I'm not personally, I like meditating. For me, I find that it can be really hard. And it's a practice that takes a really long time to build. So when you're doing this in a month, it's really hard because you're not going to be able to build in a meditative practice that fast. So I found other ways that you can access that subconscious part of your brain that don't include meditating if that's not for you or something that you already do. So, for example, here's ways that you can find repetitive tasks that you can do that shut down your brain and allow your brain to go quiet and be opened up to inspiration, right? Like if you follow, I listen to Andrew Huberman, his podcast about the brain. He's like a neuroscientist, I think, and he walks and works. And a lot of people do that, right? Because walking is a activity that is shutting down the front of your brain and allowing the creativity that's in your subconscious to come forward. Other ways to do that could be swimming, chopping vegetables, driving, taking a walk. And the most important thing for this is that you are not allowed when you're doing this, because I want you to do this every single day. You're not allowed to use content. You're not allowed to listen to the radio. You're not allowed to take a phone call. You're not allowed to listen to a podcast or a book. You're not allowed to have any input, because that's like fake shutting down your brain, because it's really putting more information in. What I want you to do is go quiet. You're taking a walk and you're just walking and you're just leaving yourself open to having inspiration. Or maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to think about this question that Jenny proposed, and I'm going to take a walk and I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to chop vegetables for dinner and I'm going to do it. And the process of doing something repetitive will create the space for you to have other thoughts that come through from your subconscious. For me, I love driving. I find driving to be really good at this. I drive long distances with no radio or no nothing. And the action of driving keeps your front brain busy, so your back brain, your subconscious, can come forward and have good ideas. And just then you have to pay attention to them and act on them. So the third week is when we go like real deep here. The third week is like when we go super ruthless on ourselves. And we're going to go into all of the fears and the self-doubt, all the things like what could possibly happen if you acted on the sparks and the passion that you just came up with. What is it that's holding you back and keeping you stuck? What is it that you believe about yourself? Where did it come from? And is it true? So for example, I used to have some thoughts about like money that I one day realized I had, that I was like, this isn't actually true. This has never been true for me. So where did I get this idea that has now become like a driving force in a lot of the decisions I'm making? And I realized it had to do with my mom, that it was her experience and it was her life story. And it was something that she told me about and that I then decided was true, and it became a limiting belief in my life. But the minute that I recognized where it came from, I was able to pinpoint it. And I was like, okay, but that's not actually true. That was true for her, but it's not true for me. And I could let it go. And there's so many ways in which we self-sabotage ourselves, right? So we put ourselves at the bottom of the list. We're so busy that we can't do anything. Think of the ways you self-sabotage, the ways that you have to be controlling of situations, the way that you have to do it yourself and make busy work. And yet you're so busy, because then you're so busy, you're not taking personal accountability to the fact that you've created that dynamic. And then I want this one, I really love. What is it about people who you're judgmental of or that you're envious of? Because the people that you're jealous of, that's what you really want in life. And you need to check yourself against what it is that you're jealous of and use that actually as a map to show you what it is that you want. And for judgment and being judgmental of other people, the things that you are judgmental of in other people, it's really what you're self-judging about yourself. It's about you, not about them. And once you can recognize them, you can see that, you can flip it, and you can wind up coming at people and yourself from a place that's really positive. And if it's not positive, at least it's compassionate and empathetic, because then you're being compassionate and empathetic to yourself. So those are some things that where it's hard to face yourself. It's hard to face the things that you are afraid of. It's hard to not to see the places that you are allowing yourself to be a victim, to take personal accountability and personal responsibility for your life and your thoughts and your fears, and then use it as fuel to move forward, because that's how you do it. And I have this awesome next step that I just love. Oh, why is that doing that? Here we go. So you're going to make a list and you're going to write down the negative beliefs, right? So, I have to do this because, I can't do that. I can't do this workshop because I'm too busy doing other things. And, who's going to listen, and no one's going to want to come. And I don't know, there's other people saying this. It's not important for me to do it. There's enough people out there who are doing this. Why is my opinion or my program better? Who needs to listen to me? Is that true? Not really. I have a different perspective and I have a different audience and I have a lot of experience doing this. And so it's probably not true. It's just me not wanting to do the work, not wanting to put myself out there, and being content with where I am. So the source of the belief, it's myself, and it's just being lazy and limited. So reframing that to a positive statement, which would be, I have something to share. I have a unique perspective, and I have an audience that is looking to me for this type of positive action. And it's my responsibility to use my platform to do that. So you are going to do this for everything that is a negative belief that you think. You're going to flip all of them. You are going to reframe it into a positive, true statement. Then you are going to take that list of statements, and those are going to become your affirmations. And you are going to make each affirmation something that you brainwash yourself into believing in the craziest way. And you are going to then fill yourself up with the truth and the positivity of that. And it will change your life. I promise you. So here are some things you're going to do with these affirmations. And whatever one resonates with you, do it. But I'm serious. You're going to brainwash yourself. So you could take it and you could put it on Post-it notes and you could put it all over your house, each of them. And everywhere you go, you see it and you're constantly saying it to yourself and running it through your brain and memorizing them. You could look at the mirror every single morning and you could say them to yourself, and it's going to be awkward and painful at first, and then it's going to feel over time empowering and strengthening. You could put reminders in your calendar that just pop up and give you this information throughout the day. You can, right before you go to bed at night, run through them. That's when your subconscious is very open. Run through it. It's the last thing you think before you go to sleep, and the first thing you think before your brain kicks in with all the to-do lists and the anxieties. You're going to flip it and you're going to say this list of affirmations before you wake up. And you're going to find that you wind up believing it over time. And that's really all that matters, is that you believe the best about yourself. And then instead of going to a negative place, you recognize your negative beliefs, you question them because you're curious about your thoughts, and then you believe the opposite to the point where you know it to be a fact. And then I guarantee you, this is the life-changing. This is the life-changing one. Once you recognize that the universe has your back, I know that sounds crazy, that you are in control of your own life and that everything will work out because you are you and you are in control, it's a game changer. Okay, last step, and then we'll open up for questions. This is moving forward. So for some people, we've done the hard work, and acting is actually the easier thing to do. For some people, doing the first steps is actually easier because that's something that you do quietly at home with yourself. But taking the action steps is really hard because you may not know what it is exactly that you want to do when you start. And it may seem overwhelming, the idea of doing something so big. Maybe it's going back into the workforce and trying to find a job. Maybe it's switching careers. Maybe it's starting something new. These are big, big goals. And once you've outlined that goal, you could get frozen in place, not doing anything. And I think about it like this. If you want to build a building, if you thought about building a building, the amount of steps between doing the idea and creating the end product is so major that it's like would blow your mind and also stop you from acting and moving forward. But to build a building, you need to dig a hole, right? That's a first step. So we're going to start with baby steps. What is the first step that needs to get done? Maybe the first step is having a coffee with somebody in your network. Maybe the first step is redoing your LinkedIn, making a website, doing your resume. Maybe it's just creating a list of your core values and principles. It's soft launching the idea of what you want to do with a trustworthy network of people, taking the step to go to join a group like All Before Dinner and aligning with people who can help you or excite you or give you an opportunity and just put you in the place of where you want to be moving forward in your career. So it's these like micro moves that you can easily do. And once you start doing them, they're going to build upon itself. And one step gets the next, and then you've got momentum, and then you're moving forward. The only thing I really want to make sure that I bring up here is that a lot of people self-sabotage in this step. Do not talk about what you want to do with people who are going to talk you out of it, because you know exactly who they are. And they are the people who are energy sucks or are going to make you feel small or make you feel triggered or tell you that like, well, it's not the right time or just talk you out of it in some way. That is a form of self-sabotage. You know exactly who they are. So if you're talking to those people, it's because you don't want to move forward. So stay away from them. Do not talk about them. Only talk about this with people whose energy is going to be positive and move you forward and keep boosting your confidence to move yourself forward. Like for me, Mara, you are often that person for me. So thank you for being that person. And then here, forward action. It's about the baby steps. It's about what can you do from right now in your actual current life, not the life that you've now envisioned in the future. It's like in this moment right now, what's one baby step that you can do to move forward? And each step at a time, you're going to get there. And it's like a fearlessly forward kind of thing. But you have to outline what it is in like micro steps that you can do to get to that milestone. Because if you just think about the goal, you're gonna psych yourself out. And I want you to, in this process, as you're going forward, let go, follow like the flow, right? So in this, it's about the baby steps, yes, and you're still doing the morning work and you're still doing the mindfulness, but it's really about in this movement and in these steps forward, also paying attention. Where does your intuition tell you to go? Who's making an introduction to the next person? It's like breadcrumbs along a path. Just move in the direction of where the breadcrumbs are going. Don't try to hold on really tight and control where you want it to go. In this action step forward, in this part of the program, I want you to just like trust the process and move ahead lightly without it being something where it's like, I've got to get this thing done and I've got to do this and I've got to do this. And it becomes almost like you're squeezing the energy out of the action with the intensity with which you want the goal. I need you to hold it light and follow the path and do it in a way where it feels like fun and joyful and moving yourself forward to a new life that you're building. Okay. That's it on this. I think that's good. We got 20 minutes. I'm going to move forward. Here's my information. We'll put it up and Mara and Lisa will send it. But I'm going to unshare my screen and then we can go into questions. Okay, I did it.
I'm going to take you off spotlight. So if
You
anyone
did
has
it.
questions.
That's literally, I mean, I'm telling you, I do this process with myself all the time. There's times where like, you know, I'm sort of in like an inflection point in my own career where I'm like, okay, do we need to, we're going down this path or should we go down this path? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put myself through this program again, because if I don't know the answer, I want to understand what is it I want, what's holding me back, and how I can move forward into the direction that's going to be the most positive and get me to where I want to be. Even if I don't really 100% know where I want to be at the start, I will know by the end.
Thank you, Jenny. So does anyone have any questions? Mara, I know you always have questions. Does anyone other than Mara have questions? And then I will. Oh, Tina, go ahead.
Ask.
I see Laura. Go ahead, Tina.
Hi, thank you for this. I had a quick question on the journal entry in the mornings because,
Yeah.
I mean, you did mention time. So I understand the idea of clearing your mind, and I love that it's kind of like like taking a shower, right? And washing it all out before you start the day. Is there a benefit to doing that as opposed to doing it at night to then maybe clear your mind and wake up clear in the morning, or that you think of? Because I wonder, like sometimes for me in the morning, I don't think my brain is ready to do that. Maybe it's after coffee. I'm not sure. I love the exercise. I think I'm just wondering if there's a benefit to doing it in the morning or in the evening when you had a whole day of thoughts.
For me, and maybe it could be that at the end of the day, you want to clear your brain before you go to sleep and you could do it twice. Or it could be that the night is really when you have the time and you're able to sit and do it. I find that in my house, the night is busy and I just want to go to bed. So
Right. Yeah, no,
I just am
can
like,
relate.
I'm gonna like skip doing it at night versus in the morning. If I just wake up like 10 minutes earlier, I can just lie in bed and do it. And my brain kicks on and I start like thinking about the day, and I find it a really good way to like organize my thoughts about the day and organize all the things that are sort of like keeping me busy. It's like half a to-do list of like, okay, well, this is what the day is going to look like. And also here's all the things that I'm thinking about that are like tripping me up. And I just got to like put it somewhere.
I love that. I love that. Exercise. I'm going to try that.
I think it's, and I'll skip, like sometimes I'll skip it if I just don't feel like, you know, it's in that moment. But if you do it repetitively, you know, everything becomes a habit if you just do it long enough. And then once it's a habit, you get used to it and you like it. It's like, you know,
And you're
exercising.
learning about yourself, right? Because I
Yeah,
like
and you're
going back in a
really,
month, I'm like, this is what was filling my brain this whole time. So I think it's a great
it's a
exercise
really
of like learning.
interesting, it's a really interesting way to learn about, you're like, I didn't think I was that concerned about that thing. Like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
relax. You know, it's going to be okay.
I love it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Laura, I saw you had a
So-
hand up.
I do. I have a question. I'm 56 years old. I'm wondering with career transitions, have you sort of seen there's like a sweet spot where almost like with fertility, like you better do it before you hit this age? With between ageism and sort of the things that go on in your life, or is this something that could be applicable to someone who's like 60 as well as someone who's 38
I think it
and
can be
everything in between?
applicable. I think it can be applicable no matter what, because, you know, look, if you were like, I don't remember what you said, but if you're like, I'm 56 and I want to go, you know, career transition and become a doctor, I would be like, okay, well, you know, that's a huge undertaking. You know, is that something that it's not impossible. People have done it. If you have the desire to do it, you can do anything you want. But it's really about what is it that you want to go do? I think this is honestly like one of the best times to do a career transition in general. It doesn't, the hiring world is really different. I think the barriers to being hired are very different than they were 10 years ago, because of remote work, because people are just much more aware of expertise versus, and the idea of ageism coming up as a, you know, as a red flag. So I don't think that there's anything holding you back to switch careers at 56. I think it's more if it's rational to do the thing that you want to do in the amount of time that you want to do it. And is your life, is it going to work in your actual life? I mean, I don't know.
All right, Mara.
I'm happy
Mara's
to
ask her question now.
Yeah, I'm happy to
Oh.
talk to you separately about it, because
I was just curious, like sort of if you were seeing trends.
I'm seeing that people are doing all the things, that it doesn't really matter, that like the younger generation is like, they're just switching careers left and right constantly. And so we have a really different mindset about like longevity in something, which is good because it leads you to have expertise, which is then something that you can leverage. But at the same time, there's nothing holding you back from doing anything. The barrier to entry in a lot of different fields is very low. And if with ingenuity, you have to work hard at it, but like you can definitely do it.
All right, Brooke, and then Mara, I'll come back to you.
Hi, thanks for that whole talk. So I'm going to focus a little bit around like taking accountability of your fears and the negative beliefs, and then those people that might self-sabotage you. So
Yeah.
As an example, I was in a career up until about 6 years ago, pretty big job. And then I stopped, just went home and haven't worked since. And for 6 years, I've wanted to get back into a different career, but I feel like what's holding me back is that I don't have direct experience. I only have transferable skills. And then I have a lot of people that are like, no way, no one's going to hire you if you don't have at least 10 years of experience in this field. And I know the steps would be like education or starting lower, but sometimes I feel like it just lands me back into, okay, I'm just going to go back to work in my old career. And I wanted to know your thoughts on just like making that career change when you are someone that's like 45 and you don't have exact work experience in that field, but you have those transferable skills. How do you use that to kind of break into that field?
Okay. Do you mind if I ask what the fields are?
Yeah. So one, I was in ad sales, but I've always done tons of hiring and HR work and management. And I always wanted to transfer into HR, hiring, talent management, et cetera. But I've been told that there's kind of like a barrier to entry. So I guess my question is, how do you get past those fears and kind of?
I don't believe that to be true at all.
Okay.
What I would do is think about going into HR and hiring and talent in the ad sales world.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a world that knows you, and it's a world you know, so you know what they need to hire, what kinds of people are the right people for those jobs, because you have the like direct experience of working in that industry. And that makes you a really great person to be on the other side of like as the gatekeeper into that field. So it's really thinking about it differently and positioning yourself in your expertise and using your transferable skills and just narrowing it down. So go look, you probably have contacts in those areas. You probably know people in that field who can vouch for you because they know you. See who's hiring, make appointments to meet those people in that field, explain why you think that you would rather be on that side and what you bring to the job that somebody else who just has HR experience in a totally different field doesn't even know.
Yeah, I agree. And I think maybe it's that slide where you kind of talked about the negative beliefs and not being able to turn it into something positive. So that was very helpful.
I'm glad. And it's really like, who's saying that, you know, and what's their skin in that game, or why? So don't listen in those people, don't listen to them.
Okay. Thank you.
Go take meetings with the people who are your like ex-colleagues, people that you know from the industry when you were in it, and that's where you're going to target your career shift into.
Okay, great.
All right, Mara, now you get your question.
All right, thank you. You can see me biting, chomping at the bit. No, I want to piggyback off of Tina, off of your question, and go back to the brain dump, because I love this, and I've heard this in a few different contexts. I feel like this is now the universe telling me I need to get on board with that piece of it. And I totally get the benefit of emptying your brain to open the door for all the other things you want to let in. I then want to know, what do you do with that brain dump list? Because I'm the kind of person that can't, like, I start putting everything onto that list and I'm like, oh, well, I need to do that. And well, let me just put that on the calendar now so I don't forget about it. And then I open the calendar and then I see the 4 other things on the calendar. And then
Yeah, you're
I
not
start
doing it.
spiraling
It's
into,
5
like,
minutes.
how am I getting all that shit done? So what do you do with that list? When do you then get
But a
all that
lot of
stuff
it,
done?
first of all, a lot of it's not even a list, right? So I don't want you to
Okay.
think about it as like a to-do list, because you already have the to-do
It's
list.
just,
It's like,
okay.
if your brain goes to the to-do list, great, you can write it down. But and then you can revisit the to-do list. You're asking for 7 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of focus. What I find more interesting is the free form writing, where you're like, you know, I'm really upset about this today. This came up, and it's more personal and it's less
Got
to
it.
do, because you can make a to-do list all day, but that's really just keeping yourself busy. It's like, what are the things that you're thinking about? What
Got
are
it.
you
Okay.
like, what
And
are you
just clear your
holding
head for it.
on to? You know, and maybe it's about your kids, maybe it's about yourself, maybe it's about something that you're upset with in the world. It's like, if you're holding
All of
on
the
to
above.
if you're holding on to a bad feeling, it's like, just
Got
get
it.
that stuff out more than the to-do list,
Yeah.
because that's the stuff that like clogs up your to-do list. You know, you're going to wake up, you're going to be like, okay, I got to
Right.
do this. And I'm just want like 5 minutes of you just like letting it out in a really safe space, to just be like, I had the worst fight. I can't stand my husband, you know, I'm really upset about this thing. And, you know, or I really wish that it felt more like this, and whatever it is, just getting all those like thoughts out, that you don't have those conversations with somebody else.
Right. Got it. Right. That makes sense. That makes more sense. Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
All right.
Okay, well, Jenny, thank you. It's always so nice to see you here. All Before Dinner would not exist without your introduction to me and Mara, so thank you. And thank you to all of you who are here today, who spent your lunch with us. If you are new to All Before Dinner, you know that we like to start on time and end early, because we like to really be efficient and mindful of everyone's time, because it's very easy to skip things like this when you see them on your calendar. So thank you, Jenny. This was super enlightening. And to the rest of you, have a great rest of your day. And thanks for being here.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you thank you so much. This was awesome. I hope that it was helpful, and
It was
thanks for being my guinea pigs.
Thank you,
Always.
Jenny. Bye,
Always.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.